Reflectors of light. You and I are reflectors of the source of light, which is Jesus the Christ. Jesus does not give a list of don'ts, nor does he complain about his followers, but rather he motivates them with the extraordinary words, telling them, "You are the light of the world." Isn't that a wonderful statement to make? To tell someone else, you are the light of the world. Not only are you the light in my life, you are the light of the entire world. That's motivation. There are many theories about how to motivate people in the workforce, in families, and doing the dishes or drying the dishes or whatever is necessary in your household or in our community or in our nation. Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher Don Sutton hadn't won a game in 8 weeks. The future looked very bleak for him. Sutton felt terrible. Then before a game, Dodgers manager Walter Alston tapped him on the shoulder. "I would like to speak with you, Don." Sutton prepared himself for the worst. "Don," said Alston, "I know how the past couple of months have been for you. Everyone's wondering whether we can make it to the playoffs. You know there's a lot of pressure. I've had to make a decision." Sutton had visions of being taken off the mound outside of the rotation. Then Alston continued, "If we are going to win this year," looking Sutton directly in the eyes, "the Dodgers are going to win with Don Sutton pitching. You're staying in the starting lineup. That's all I wanted to say." Sutton's losing streak lasted 2 more weeks, but because of his manager's encouraging words, he felt different about it. Something in him was turning around. There was yet a lot of season left. In the remainder of that season, Don Sutton won the next 13 of 14 games. There are many theories on how to motivate people. We can do it through guilt. We can do it through fear. We can do it through shame. But these were not Jesus' methods. We can do it by compliments. We can do it by support. We can do it by showing, sharing, and saying, our love for you and others. Jesus motivated through positive messages of hope and encouragement. There was several popular books by a Reformed pastor in New York City at Marble Collegiate Church, which was Norman Vincent Peale. Some of us might remember. It was called The Power of Positive Thinking. Now, he was greatly criticized for that, as many people are for things that they print and go out, but really there is, I believe, power in positive thinking. There's certainly, I don't believe, much power in negative thinking, so I would try on positive thinking, as did Norman Vincent Peale. In the gospel lesson today, Jesus says to his followers, "You are the light of the world." Here was a motley crew of farmers, fishermen, tax collectors. They were housewives and others. In a remote village in an obscure part of the world, Jesus was saying to them, "You are the light of the world." The solo by Courtney, entitled "You Are." You are. That's the statement of faith. The light of the world. Wow. It must have seemed rather absurd at that time to those people. Only Jesus could have seen that through this motley crew, God would change the world forever. God can use us, use even us. At the time, it sounded like idle chatter. You are the light of the world. Now, for additional absurdity, so are we. That is really something. You and I are the light of the world. Jesus says to us that we are reflectors of that light of the world. We reflect the light of Christ. I'd like to make 2 points regarding this. The first, meaning we have a responsibility for the world. If we're the light of the world, we have a responsibility for the world. A lighthouse, it doesn't just stand there to be taken pictures of and be seen on postcards. There's a purpose in a lighthouse. It steers the ships away from the rocky shores and sinking. A light bulb isn't just there because it's a beautifully shaped, now in coils, or a sort of a bulbous looking thing. It's really maybe pleasant looking. No, it is there because it lights up a room. Light does not exist for its own glory, but exists to brighten the world. We exist not for our own glory, but to brighten the world. And it is not we who have to supply the light. We're not the generators. We are the reflectors. We reflect the light of Christ. That is the first thing Jesus is saying to us, who have a responsibility to share and reflect light to the world. A young man had been left blind in both eyes by a childhood accident. In 19th century France, when this young man lived, blind children had little help and very few hopes. But a kind priest, Father Jacques Paulou, took an interest in the boy. He was amazed at the boy's intelligence and eagerness to learn. With his parents' permission, Father Paulou enrolled the boy in the Royal Institute of Blind Youth in Paris. In a new and frightening environment, the boy was lonely. He was depressed. In time, however, he found in friendship, encouragement, but unfortunately, he was frustrated by the Institute's lack of books in raised print. He found the symbols in raised print confusing. So he set out at the age of 12 to invent his own system. After 3 years, he perfected the method at the age of 15, but he encountered indifference and hostility when he tried to convince the world that this was a better system. Even with the support of the Institute's director, he was told again and again that he was too young to have created a workable alphabet for the blind. Years passed. This young man grew older. Nothing much happened to his ideas. He was made a teacher at the Institute and became a fine organist. There are yet, even today, some blind organists, extraordinary gifts that they share, always hoping his method would find acceptance. But his health was frail. It was not until he lay in bed dying of tuberculosis that he heard that the first steps were being taken to popularize his system. Though he did not live to witness it, Louis Braille, the alphabet he invented, became the universal method of reading for the blind. His courage, his hunger for knowledge enabled him to triumph over disability, over darkness, disease, and opened new worlds for those who lived in darkness. Future generations, up until this very day, depend upon Braille's system of reading. It has become and is the light for those with physical eyes that have failed them. So first of all, as reflectors of light, we have a responsibility for the world. Second, as reflectors of the light of Christ, we have something that the world needs. What does the world need? We heard in our lesson today, just very briefly on that in 1 Corinthians, for I decided to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ. Paul says, I want to know nothing except Jesus Christ. Mother Teresa of India, Calcutta, was speaking to persons who had come to meet her. Among the groups to which She spoke with one of religious sisters from North America. After her talk, she asked if there were any questions. "Yes, I have one," a woman said. "As you know, most of the orders represented here have been losing members. More and more women are leaving. And yet your order is attracting thousands over the years. What do you do?" Without hesitation, Mother Teresa answered, "I give them Jesus." "Yes, I know," said the woman, "but take wearing habits, for instance. Do your women object to wearing habits? And the rules of the order, do they object to the stress and strain of the hard rules of the order? How do you do it?" "I give them Jesus," Mother Teresa replies. "Yes, I know, Mother," said the woman, "but can you be more specific?" "I give them Jesus," Mother Teresa repeated again. "Mother," said the woman, "we are all aware of your fine work. I want to know about something else." Mother Teresa said very quietly, "I give them Jesus. There is nothing else." We have the person of Jesus Christ. God gave us this light for us to give Jesus to the world. There are persons of many religious backgrounds who call this country, our nation, home. We can learn much from our neighbors who are different from us, but they are indeed a blessing to us. Do you know why? They're unlike us. They may not be Christians. They may not even believe at all. But what a blessing it is for us to be the light to them. God blesses us with people who do not know Jesus in order that we can give them Jesus. Unfortunately, sometimes we complain, "Oh, they're taking our jobs. Oh, they're doing this, or they're doing that, or they're different, or they don't do this. They go to some other kind of a place to worship, or they don't worship at all, blah, blah, blah." It goes on and on. But you know what? That's because our eyes are covered in darkness. We do not see the light of the possibilities of sharing the good news with those who do not believe. Indeed, we are blessed, as it says, to be a blessing. We give from a greater source than ourselves, from one who has touched our lives, given us power and authority to touch others. Eric Butterworth, a pioneering British sociologist of the last century, told of a college professor who had his sociology class go into the Baltimore slums to get case histories on 200 young boys. The students were asked to write an evaluation of each boy's future. In every case, the students wrote regarding those young boys something to the terms and fact of, "He hasn't got a chance." 25 years later, another sociology professor came across the earlier study. He had his students follow up on the project to see what had happened to these boys. With the exception of 20 boys who had moved away or had died, the students learned that 176 of the remaining 180 had achieved extraordinary success. The professor was astonished at that and decided to pursue the matter further. Fortunately, all the men could be contacted. He was able to ask each one, "How do you account for your success?" In each and every case, the reply came back with feelings to something like, "There was a teacher, ... There was a teacher. That teacher was still alive." The professor sought her out and asked the elderly but still alert woman what magic formula she had used to pull these boys out of the slums into successful achievement. The teacher's eyes sparkled, her lips broke into a gentle smile, and she says, It's really very simple. I loved those boys. No wonder those boys succeeded. They had a teacher that not only taught, but loved them. Love conquers all forms of evil. There was a teacher who also loved his students. He saw possibilities in them that no one else saw in them. He saw possibilities in them they did not see in themselves. And he says to the students, "You are the light of the world." And they became reflectors of that light to the world. The love they received from Jesus, they passed on. That teacher, that rabbi, gave us a light that we can reflect. We are the reflectors of the light of the world. Light shines in darkness. The darkness does not overcome it. Light, even in a star, guided 3 Magi wise men to a manger in the village of Bethlehem. Light is a guide. 3 young men decided to hop a slow-moving freight train in a town in Pacific Northwest. It was supposed to be a lark on a nice spring evening. They thought it would be fun. The train was barely moving as the 3 friends rode down the rails. The locomotive picks up steam and speed, and these friends knew it was time because they had left the area. What's now? Darkness was setting in. Soon these 3 friends were cold, lost, and scared. After half an hour or so, they decided, well, we got to do something about this. We got to do something. In perfect Butch Cassidy fashion, they lined up in the door of the boxcar in which they were riding and bailed out. It was a rough tumble, but they were okay. But they were lost. They began to wander that area, and suddenly they looked in the distance and they saw a faint glow. Well, there might be a town there. The 3 humiliated joyriders began walking toward that light. As they traveled, the light became stronger, more distinct, more intense. They wound up at a roadside restaurant. They went in. They called for help. Help came and got them home safely because they followed a light, walking in its glow. It became the beacon that overcame the darkness and their lostness. There are people in this world lost in darkness, looking for a light to lead them to spiritual, emotional, and mental, physical safety. How about our reflecting that light? Is our light shining? Well, people see us. Do they see a light that is reflected from Jesus? We are reflectors of the light to the world. We have a responsibility for the world. We have what the world needs now and always. We're not the source of the light. We're not the generators. We are the reflectors. We are the reflectors of that true light of Jesus Christ. My concluding statement is, we are children of light, not children of darkness. Thanks be to God for the giving to us Jesus, the light of the world. Amen. I invite all to stand who